Speed was born in Indianapolis. Back before any of us were even born, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway gave way to the greatest spectacle in racing, where some of the greatest drivers in the world with V6 engines and Firestone tires will circle around nearly 400,000 people in hopes to secure that life-changing kiss on the Brickyard.
I cannot believe it!
This is the Indianapolis 500, and this is Intro to Indy.
The engines are starting. The bricks are waiting. Welcome to Fox 5's Intro to Indy.
We are less than 48 hours away from the start of the Indy 500 right here on Fox, so we're hoping to get ready for the greatest spectacle in racing with Intro to Indy. I'm Victor Pittman. For the next 30 minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of the Brickyard with interviews, stories, and drivers to know as we had boots on the ground in Indianapolis earlier this week. It will be the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500, the longest standing race in the world. 33 cars will take the green flag at 12:45 p.m. on Sunday. Robert Schwartzman, a rookie, will be on the pole this year. We'll get into more of that later, though. So what is it about the Indy 500 that's so special? Well, we figured we'd ask some experts.
So this is the largest single-day sporting event of the world. So just think about that. It's over 300,000 people. It's the biggest, most prestigious event. This is the Super Bowl of motorsports.
It's an incredible place. I mean, that's why this is the biggest event of I would say, of the world, to be honest, because when people see this, it's pretty special.
You win this race, it changes you forever. I mean, you know, my dad, his name is synonymous with winning, but in particular, this one race is what he's always introduced as, so it's a big race.
And to put into perspective just how big the greatest spectacle in racing is, well, the 350,000 plus fans in attendance will mark the first sellout since 2016. On Sunday, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway will be the second largest city in Indiana and nearly the size of Atlanta just in the stadium. It's larger than the entire population of Iceland. 1 in every 1,100 people in the United States total will be at the track Sunday. And if you took every stadium in Atlanta, then double it, you still wouldn't get the amount of people at IMS on Sunday. Joseph Newgarden is a guy who knows a thing or two about winning at the Brickyard. Miles Garrett has more.
In IndyCar, the name to know the last 2 years has been Joseph Newgarden. The back-to-back champ of the biggest spectacle in racing is going for an unprecedented three-peat at the Indy 500. Now, while he is no doubt focused on that, his wife will be too, someone who coincidentally enough has a local tie here in Atlanta.
Nothing like the Indianapolis 500. Nothing even close. You know, I've been to Kentucky Derby, Super Bowls, World Series. This place is 10x anything.
Like many race fans and drivers themselves, Joseph Newgarden knows the scale of the Indy 500. He might even know it better than most.
I think three-peats are hard in sports in general, especially on the biggest stage. You know, it's certainly like something like this at the Indianapolis 500. I'm focused on just trying to win the race.
Newgarden is the defending back-to-back champion of the race and is going for a third straight win at the track. But while his professional success is now known at the global scale, his success personally is known at the local scale.
So my dad was a big NASCAR fan. I used to watch the races with him in Atlanta. You're able to go to a couple, but I did not know about IndyCar. I had heard Indianapolis 500, but I didn't really know the detail of it, but now I'm all in.
Joseph met his wife Ashley while she was working as a Disney princess over a decade ago. A Conyers native, she was relatively unfamiliar with IndyCar. But as she's grown with Joseph, she's recognized the scale of what's at stake this week.
I, being from Georgia, of course, was like a Braves fan, Chipper Jones, you know. I don't follow as much now, but yeah, I love when states and communities come behind a team. It's wonderful. And that's honestly something that I can even look forward to with Indiana culture or just race fans in general. So I've really seen him go from having marginal success, you know, a top 15 would be a great day for him then, now to being, you know, winning races, winning 500s, that's a huge deal. So I love being able to see him grow with that.
The Newgardens are aware that IndyCar is still growing in the South, but their love story made in Disney World still might one day have a tie at a racetrack soon in Atlanta.
Atlanta's always been close to us. You know, if you're from Nashville, you're typically a Braves fan. Funny enough, I'm going to say this on camera, I'm more of a Yankees fan, but I love Chipper Jones, so I still followed the Braves. We've got a ton of Braves fans from Nashville, and then my wife being from Atlanta, we have a bit of a connection there, but it's very close to us. You know, it's 3.5 hours from Nashville. You know, feels like a hometown in a lot of ways, and I've always enjoyed time there. So, maybe one day we'll get an IndyCar race in Atlanta. I think we would like that.
Now, Ashley Newgarden actually recently published a children's book called Good Night Racetrack. It's a picture book which celebrates the magic and history of the Indy 500, something they hope to be celebrating together once again on race day.
All right, thanks, Miles. Well, coming up, Kyle Larson will be attempting to do something only 5 other drivers have ever done. Our Kelly Price sits down one-on-one with the man attempting the double.
I hope it doesn't sound too ambitious, but I think, the Indy 500 is my short-term goal.
Plus, we introduce you to perhaps a future Indy 500 driver who hails from right here in Atlanta. Stick around to hear how Miles Rowe is making history next in Intro to Indy.
From the green flag to victory lane. Welcome back to Fox 5's Intro to Indy.
We are inside a pretty high-powered vehicle right now. Can you talk to me about what this vehicle is going to be doing the day of the race day and a little bit about the vehicle itself?
Absolutely. So this is the 2025 Corvette ZR1. This serves as the official pace car that starts the race. So if you've ever seen the beginning of the race, they start 2 or 3 parade laps, the whole field behind them takes them to greens. 1,064 horsepower in this thing, 233 miles per hour top speed. So it's definitely up to the task.
Miles looked good behind the wheel. Couldn't take it for a joyride, though. Well, this year there's a lot of interesting storylines to follow. There's former champions, rookies, a new hybrid system, even some scandal. But let's get into some drivers to look out for come Sunday on the track. We'll start with the guy who will be leading out the field. Robert Schwartzman, number 83 for Prima Racing, is sitting on the pole for the 109th running of the Indy 500. His 232.790 mile per hour average in qualifying locked him into that first spot, and the 25-year-old rookie will be the first newcomer to lead the field in 42 years. His average finish in 5 IndyCar events this season is 20th. So let's see what the Rook can cook up on the pole come Sunday. And how about a guy who knows a thing or two about winning this year? Alex Palou comes into the Indy 500 hotter than anyone. He's won 4 of the last 5 IndyCar races, including the Indy Road Course race just 2 weeks ago. But Palou has never won on an oval before. The Spaniard will start Sunday's race in the 6th position, hoping to finally snap that streak.
We've been close. We actually finished 2nd here in 2021, 2nd in a couple other ovals, but we've never won on an oval. We're hoping to change that here at the 500. That would be super sweet. We just want to go out on track on race day and try and see if we can make it.
And we talked about him with Miles, but we have to mention him again. Joseph Newgarden trying to become the first driver ever to three-peat at the Brickyard. He's got his work cut out for him, though. He'll begin in the 32nd position, all the way in the back after him and his Team Penske teammate Will Power were both found with modified alternators during qualifying. The teams were both penalized, and the drivers moved to the back of the grid. And well, from the now to the future, the next great IndyCar driver might just come from Atlanta. Miles Rowe is 24 years old from Powder Springs and went to Whitfield Academy. He currently competes in Indy Next. That's the developmental racing series right below IndyCar. Our Justin Felder went to Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, and spent a day on the track with Miles.
The goal is definitely the Indy 500, for sure. But the goals don't stop there.
Miles Rowe is only starting to pick up speed. Rowe has finished top 5 in each of the 4 Indy Next Series races so far this season, and this comes just a few years after it seemed like his racing career was over. Money dried up, and Miles hung up his helmet, temporarily at least, and went to college to study filmmaking.
I didn't quite give up, so to speak. I always knew in the back of my head that I'd be running a car again. I just didn't know when.
But with mentoring from racing legend Will Power, Rowe joined a team called Force Indy, a group backed by Roger Penske to promote diversity in racing. Rowe proved to be a force himself. In 2021, he became the first ever black driver to win a race in any IndyCar sanctioned series. In 2023, he won the season championship in the series that's right below Indy Next, the first black driver to ever win an open wheel season title.
It's so hard to think about because it's like I can't believe anyone hasn't done that yet. You know, like why does it have to be that way? You know, I wish like that wasn't a topic, you know, sort of a thing.
It's not just the first, but right now, at least in the IndyCar paddock, he's the only black driver. You can't come into the sport and just be an also-ran. You know, people are going to like, see, you know, that black guy couldn't get it done. And that's something that we just deal with.
Get more people who don't have the opportunity to come into this racing world and be able to enjoy it, work in it, succeed in it, and live in it.
So next stop, Indy 500. Well, yeah, that's the goal one day. But Miles has way more than just one gear.
I hope it doesn't sound too ambitious, but I think, you know, the Indy 500 is my short-term goal.
Rowe is on the rise in IndyCar, but says maybe one day he'll race in F1 or in another series around the world. And while at college, he found a passion for filmmaking, photography, and storytelling. In fact, you might just see him at a racetrack, walking around with a camera or a notebook working on ideas for a screenplay.
I still am a filmmaker at heart. I love filmmaking. Those are the things actually that really help me take a step away and still kind of almost work the other side of my brain, so to speak.
Miles loves storytelling, and his own story already includes a few lines of racing history. His next chapters may cover the Indy 500, and Rowe is ready to handle any hairpin turn life's plot may throw his way. I'm Justin Felder for Intro to Indy.
Really cool story. All right, coming up, one driver will be attempting to race both in the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same day. Yeah, that's a lot of miles for Kyle Larson. We talk one-on-one with him next. Plus, the Indy 500 is filled with tradition, but perhaps one of its best involves farmers. We'll have more on the celebratory milk coming up later in Intro to Indy.
We're here in the broadcast compound for the Indy 500, and you know this is Fox's first time doing the Indy 500. We like to treat those big events how they deserve. 17 cars will have in-car cameras for a total of 57 in-car pads. It'll be the first time that IndyCar is seen in HDR at home. It's one of those technological advances that we're really trying to push at Fox, so that makes it a better experience for the viewer, much crisper, cleaner images, and more true to life.
Well, Memorial Day has always been Christmas in May for motorsports fans between the Coke 600 and the Indy 500. While there isn't often much crossover between IndyCar and NASCAR, the current Cup Series points leader is making his second attempt at the double after the second leg last year rained on his parade. Our Kelly Price went one-on-one with Kyle Larson to look ahead to Sunday.
Oh, I can't wait for race day.
Just get Kyle Larson to Sunday already. He didn't say specifically he's tired of talking about the double to people like me, people on his team, people out at the grocery store, but his native language where he's most comfortable is behind the wheel, no matter what kind of car it is.
Yeah, I'm open to it. It's just been a lot.
But even his fellow Cup Series drivers might not get it.
I don't think IndyCar is like as crazy, you know, like I think when you hear about going 240, you know, you're like, that's nuts. But there's more that relates between the two than there is different, I think. Visually, the cars couldn't look probably more different. Characteristics with them, it's all pretty similar. So I think that's what, you know, surprised most people, and it surprised myself.
That may be, but it didn't surprise people in the motorsports world when Larson announced last year he would try to race the double. 1,100 miles in one day, 583 miles apart.
Just with my racing background and versatility, it was just talked about, you know, for a long time. It's always on my mind. I got to Hendrick Motorsports and started having a lot of consistent success. I thought, well, heck, we'll ask Rick if we can do it. And it's cool that I have the support from Hendrick Motorsports, everybody there to, you know, allow me to kind of take focus off of that for a couple weeks to come, you know, do this.
And if this is what splitting his time looks like as he goes into the Indy 500 as the NASCAR Cup Series points leader for a second year in a row, Larson is making it look easy.
Kind of mentioned it, that you're able to kind of jump into any car and kind of race it. Where does that pure driver instinct, where does that kind of come from for you? When did that start?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. And I just think from an early age, I was always racing kind of different classes of go-karts. So just trying to, figure that out as a kid who's 7 to 10 years old was probably, a good foundation. But then even, when I got older and got into, bigger cars, I was racing all different types of cars, like almost every day of the week. I think that really helped kind of hone whatever versatility, I needed. I tried to stay, involved in racing a lot of different types of cars throughout the years, just because I think it's a advantage to not get so complacent and just figuring out one car.
And you certainly can't call the guy complacent. Larson will be on a racetrack for 11 straight days, something he says he's conditioned for, estimating he takes part in 90 various races during the Cup Series season, which in itself is 38 races long.
Kyle Larson is set to try to win them all.
This weekend he hopes to add and finish 2 more on his calendar. In Atlanta, Kelly Price, Fox 5 Sports.
Now, Larson's going to need to travel around 600 miles to get to both races on Sunday. Logistically, it's pretty crazy. He's going to race in the Indy 500 in Indianapolis. Then right from there, he's going to take a private jet to go to the Concord Private Airport in North Carolina. That's going to take around 60 minutes. And from there, he's going to helicopter over to Charlotte Motor Speedway in Charlotte. He needs to depart Indianapolis no later than 4:15 to make it for the Coke 600. And yeah, he's going to race 1,100 miles if all goes well. Just absurd. We'll have more on Intro to Indy next. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum has been preserving the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway since 1956. Recently opened just last month after a 17-month renovation. The museum celebrates more than a century of motorsports history, more than 55,000 artifacts and over 150 vehicles. There's IndyCar simulators, a brand new video room. The IMS Museum, a pretty cool place. And well, speaking of history, one of the cooler, more unique traditions in sports involves the Indy 500 and milk. Every champion since 1936 has been met with a glass of cold milk at Victory Circle after Louis Meyer requested buttermilk after winning the 500 89 years ago. Since then, the American Dairy Association Indiana has selected 2 dairy farmers to present the milk each year to the champion. We caught up with this year's veteran milk presenter who went on the ride of her life at the Brickyard.
When you think of an Indy 500 champion, you think milk.
That milk tastes great.
And for every one of those glasses of milk, you can thank farmers. Well, and cows.
We love milk. I mean, it speaks volumes to, not only the dairy community, but the hard work and stuff that the dairy farmers put in.
Indiana is home to over 800 dairy farms, with 97% of them being family-owned. Abby Herr is a 4th-generation dairy farmer, and on Sunday will be the official milk presenter of the Indy 500, delivering that refreshing, victorious glass of dairy to the champion.
You have to guard the milk. That's the most precious thing to have out there is the milk. The fact that our hard work is acknowledged here at the Indianapolis 500 for, many generations. It's such a humbling experience.
Abby was chosen by her farmer peers, and as part of her milk presenter duties, had the opportunity to ride inside the Brickyard, a place her family has been coming to for over 60 years.
Gosh, it was so crazy riding in the 2-seater. I keep saying it's surreal because it really is surreal. Now my 2 daughters, this is going to be their first race. I'm so excited for them to experience and see Mom out there on Victory Circle, and maybe I'll inspire them to one day want to hand out the milk. Oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever.
And of course, a ride around the track wouldn't be right without a drink.
Milk does taste better after a couple laps around. Oh my gosh.
Our friends at the American Dairy Association Indiana sent us home with the authentic cooler bag Abby will be using to deliver, and of course inside, the nice Fail milk. Abby said what you can do from home on Sunday morning. Go buy a gallon of milk yourself and drink with the champion, because winners drink milk. It's going to be a good one. I got to try. My name is Victor, right? Indy 500 for the first time on Fox. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. The green flag is set for 12:45. Thanks for joining us on Intro to Indy. I got to try this, right?